What if the one night you chose kindness became the night that nearly destroyed everything you loved, your job, your name, and your child's future? Stay with this story until the very end, because the truth behind that night will shake you, and the lesson it carries might change the way you see people forever. And if stories about real pain, real sacrifice, and real humanity matter to you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel right now. It helps us keep sharing stories that come straight from the heart. Now let me tell you about a man who never expected kindness to cost him so much. Daniel Hayes never imagined his life would become this fragile. At 34, he was already exhausted in ways people twice his age rarely understood. He was a single father, not by choice, but by fate. 3 years earlier, his wife Emily had died suddenly from an illness that gave no warnings and offered no mercy. One day she was laughing in the kitchen, teasing him about overcooking pasta, and 2 weeks later, she was gone. Since then, Daniel lived for one reason only, his daughter Lily. Every morning before dawn, he woke to the soft hum of an alarm he never snoozed. He packed Lily's lunch carefully, cutting fruit into neat pieces, slipping in a small handwritten note that said, "Daddy loves you." He braided her hair clumsily, apologized when it wasn't perfect, and walked her to the bus stop no matter how late he was running. His life was a constant balancing act: work, parenting, grief, and survival, all resting on his ability to keep one job. That job mattered more than anyone knew. Daniel worked as a senior analyst at a high-pressure marketing firm where performance wasn't praised, it was expected. The company was growing fast, chasing big clients, and demanding long hours. His boss, Vanessa Cole, was the kind of woman people whispered about in hallways. Brilliant, fearless, unapproachable. She was the youngest executive in the firm's history, respected for her mind and feared for her temper. To Daniel, she was simply his boss, distant, demanding, and impossible to read. He kept his head down, delivered results, and avoided unnecessary attention. Attention was dangerous when you had a child depending on you. That Friday evening was supposed to be harmless. The firm had just secured a major international client, and a celebration was planned at a rooftop bar downtown, expensive, loud, and full of forced smiles. Daniel didn't want to go. He never did. Social events meant late nights and early mornings that hit harder when Lily needed him alert and present. But attendance was strongly encouraged, so he showed up, stayed near the edges, and nursed a single soda while others drank freely. He checked his phone repeatedly, waiting for the babysitter's update. Lily was asleep, safe. That gave him a little peace. That's when he noticed Vanessa. At first, it was subtle. Her laughter was louder than usual. Her posture less controlled. Then her steps began to falter. People laughed it off, joking about how even executives needed to unwind, but Daniel felt uneasy. He'd grown up watching his father drink away responsibility, and he knew the signs when someone crossed the line. As the night wore on, the crowd thinned. One by one, employees left, calling rides or stumbling into taxis. Vanessa refused help. She waved people off, insisting she was fine. But when she stood to leave, she nearly fell. Daniel acted without thinking. He caught her arm before she hit the floor. For a brief moment, the noise around them faded. She looked at him with unfocused eyes, something fragile flashing across her face. "I'm okay," she slurred, trying to laugh it away. But she wasn't, and they both knew it. He suggested calling a cab. She shook her head, muttering about not trusting drivers, about needing to get home, about being tired of pretending she was always in control. The bar was nearly empty now. No one else stepped in. Daniel stood there, heart pounding, knowing the risk. Helping his boss, alone, at night, was a mistake waiting to happen. But leaving her like this felt worse. "I'll just make sure you get home safely," he said quietly. That decision would haunt him. He guided her to his car, careful to keep his distance, aware of every movement, every glance from passers-by. He buckled her seatbelt himself when she fumbled with it, then drove in silence, the city lights blurring past. His mind raced. About Lily, about boundaries, about how this could look if anyone misunderstood. Vanessa talked in fragments, about pressure, about loneliness, about how no one ever asked if she was okay. Daniel didn't respond much. He listened. He always listened. It was a habit grief had carved into him. At her apartment building, she struggled with her keys, laughing one second and fighting tears the next. Daniel held the door open, stepping back as she finally unlocked it. Inside, the apartment was immaculate but empty, No warmth, no personal touches. Vanessa collapsed onto the couch, exhaustion overtaking her. Daniel hesitated at the door, then brought her a glass of water from the kitchen, setting it on the table. "I'll wait a minute," he said, more to himself than to her. "Just to make sure you're okay." She murmured something he couldn't understand. When she finally fell asleep, fully clothed, he quietly turned off the lights, locked the door behind him, and left. In the lobby, he texted her assistant, explaining she'd had too much to drink and was home safe. Then he drove home, hands shaking, heart heavy, hoping, praying, that he'd done the right thing. He had no idea that by morning, his life would begin to fall apart. When kindness becomes a weapon. Daniel didn't sleep that night. Even after he checked on Lily, kissed her forehead, and watched her chest rise and fall in the quiet safety of their small apartment, his mind refused to rest. He replayed every second of the evening like a courtroom video, pausing on moments that could be twisted, misunderstood, or weaponized. He told himself he was overthinking it. He always did that. Life had trained him to expect the worst, but sometimes the worst never came. This time, though, it arrived faster than he could have imagined. By the time Daniel walked into the office the next morning, something was already wrong. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Eyes dropped. People who usually nodded politely suddenly found reasons to stare at their screens. His phone buzzed before he even reached his desk, an email marked, "Urgent," from Human Resources, requesting his presence immediately. His stomach dropped. In that instant, Daniel felt the same cold panic he had felt years earlier in a hospital hallway, waiting for a doctor to explain why his wife wasn't waking up. He walked to the HR office slowly, every step heavier than the last, already sensing that his life was about to split into a before and an after. Inside the room sat two HR representatives and a legal consultant he recognized from company trainings. No smiles. No small talk. Just measured voices and careful words. They explained that Vanessa Cole had reported waking up disoriented, unable to recall parts of the previous night, and deeply distressed by the circumstances surrounding how she got home. No direct accusation was spoken, but the implication hovered in the air like poison. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He told the truth. Calmly. Carefully. From the first moment he noticed she wasn't okay, to the last step he took out of her apartment building. He mentioned the text to her assistant, the water he left on the table, the lights he turned off. He mentioned Lily. He always mentioned Lily when the truth mattered, because nothing in his life had ever mattered more. The HR team listened, took notes, nodded occasionally, but offered no reassurance. At the end of the meeting, Daniel was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. His badge was temporarily deactivated. He was asked to leave the building quietly. By lunchtime, the story had already begun to mutate. Daniel's name wasn't mentioned publicly, but in offices like theirs, anonymity was a myth. A vague internal rumor quickly became an exaggerated narrative, whispers of impropriety, speculation fueled by social media posts from anonymous accounts hinting at a powerful woman betrayed by someone she trusted. Screenshots circulated. Half-truths hardened into assumptions. Daniel's phone stopped ringing. Friends he'd worked alongside for years suddenly became distant. That afternoon, he picked Lily up from school earlier than usual, forcing a smile as she chattered about spelling tests and playground drama. He told her he had a few days off work. She smiled, unaware that the foundation of her world was cracking. The investigation stretched on. Security footage from the bar showed Daniel supporting Vanessa, never